Hey Katie, it's Alicia, and I am going to do the video tutorial today for you with your machine. So this is actually your grandma's machine that we've got here, and I'm going to go through some of those questions that you had. You asked about winding a bobbin, so I've got a blank bobbin here that we're going to go over that. You asked about threading the machine, and I'm going to explain this lovely little thread stand mechanism here. You asked about the needle, so I'm going to actually show you how to place a needle in, and keep in mind that I put new needles into every machine that leaves out of here. So this is a brand new needle and you won't need to replace it when you get it. And then you asked about oiling points. So on the oiling points, sometimes the video doesn't quite capture exactly the certain spots. So I'm just going to do a very generic overview, and then I'm going to actually send you a picture out of an expensive manual called the 221 and I, written by a gentleman named David McCullen, and those pictures should help you in terms of identifying exact oiling points. And if you still have questions about it, you're more than welcome to contact me. So the first things first, let's talk about the needle. The needle here has a rounded edge, a rounded edge and a flat edge. This flat edge is going to go to the left of the machine straight up, and it's going to stay, like I said, to the left of the machine. So you'll come down here and there's a hole in your throat plate, and that's where the hole, or that's where the needle goes down. So it always helps me to put it directly into the hole, and then try to hold it with the flat edge towards the left, slide it up into its position, and twist this tight. Now we've got our needle in there. The next thing that we're going to discuss is the thread stand. This is the thread stand, and what's really nice is your oiling point on your machine actually allows this thread stand to sit flush. There are some that don't sit flush with the machine, and that's okay. We don't want to push on it. So what's great about this is this one is already big enough and it fits in there. So it's going to go on this top oiling point. It's just going to sit nicely in there. And then you want to have the hook directly above your thread. So when we thread it, we're going to go up through this hook and bring it down towards you. There's an eyelet here that we're going to have our thread go down. And then if you look closely, there are two tension discs here. There's a gap between them. You want this thread to go in between those tension discs. Then you'll take it and you're going to bring it straight up this way, and you're going to pull it up. Oops. And you're going to pull it through this eyelet here. And then it's going to come down. And then you're going to pull it down through this eyelet. And then down through around this eyelet. And then through this eyelet here in front of your needle. And then comes the fun part of getting the thread to go through the eye of the needle. If I can see it. There we go. And then you're going to pull it through and straight under the presser foot. Now the second fun part is looking under here with the bobbin. When you have a bobbin that's fully wound, such as this one, you want the thread to come off towards the left. And in your bobbin case, you're going to just lay that bobbin in there, have it spin around, and you're going to see a hook here, and then you're going to pull the thread up through here, have it click into this little hook here. So just like this, and you'll hear it. And then it's going to come out the side of the bobbin case. You'll pull this down towards the back, and you'll pull out the little flap, And then it's gonna go right on to this shaft right here, just like that. Then we're gonna put down your extension bed, and holding the thread back here, you're gonna move the hand wheel towards you. And this is going to allow you to pull up that thread. And I'm gonna grab my small threadostats here. I sometimes use scissors, but I don't know where those are actually at the top of my head. And I'm just gonna pull the thread straight through. Just like that. So now I've got both pieces of thread. I can then proceed to put my fabric under here, put my presser foot down, and then begin sewing. So there is that. To wind a bobbin, I guess I do my scissors. Oh, here they are. To wind the bobbin, we're going to pull this thread all the way out and start from scratch. This thread stand is actually really good for winding a bobbin because it helps with just keeping that tension. So I'm actually going to put the bobbin on this little wheel here, and this is the bobbin winder. It doesn't matter which side of the bobbin, it's universal. You just go ahead and slide it on there, and then you're going to push this down so that way it's on the belt. There's a stop back motion knob here, it's chrome. And I always have to think about this. First, you want to have the uptake lever in the upmost position, and then you're going to take this little knob and you're going to pull it towards you. What this does, oops, did I do it wrong? No, hang on. Now, there we go. What this does is going to keep this from going up and down. Sometimes the shaft in here wears over time, so this needle will, when you're spinning this, and I'll show you, kind of moves down slowly. To prevent that, you just want to put down the presser foot, and that creates some tension up here to keep this from moving up and down. That's what Carmen from the Featherweight shop suggests. Each featherweight, you know, they are pretty old, and sometimes those parts just get a little bit loose in there. It doesn't affect the overall function of the machine itself. It just is what it is. So for threading for the bobbin, you'll stick your spool of thread on here. Again, you'll go up through this eyelet here, down through this eyelet, and instead of messing with the upper tension over here, you're going to bring the thread over to this little guy right here, which is the bobbin winder tension. You're going to make sure that the thread goes in between these two discs, pull it up, and you're going to push it, take the piece of thread, and you're going to go through one of the holes on the left-hand side of the bobbin and pull it through. And you're going to hold, oops, it popped out. You're going to hold this, and that's because it popped out of here too. You're going to hold this down. And I'm going to cut some of this off of here so that way it's not so. Then what you'll do is you'll hold on to this, and I always have a small pair of scissors handy so that way you can cut it once you wind it some. So we'll push down. And some people will hold on to this until it snaps off. I hold on to it till it's wound some, and then I just cut it flush, and then I continue winding my bobbin. You can adjust, so if the bobbin is collecting more so on one side, you can take a screw and you can adjust this either right or left depending on where you need it for your bobbin, and adjust it that way. And then you'll have to just kind of keep an eye on how full the bobbin gets. It is an old machine, so it doesn't stop for you. And then when you're finished, you just lift this up, pull your bobbin off, and engage the stop back motion knob. So it will go back down, up and down. So that is how you do those. In terms of oiling points, like I said, I am going to send you a picture of David McCullen's book. Let me turn off the machine and let me unplug it. And I'm just going to turn it and face you and just kind of show you where, they are, just like a generic overview. So underneath this faceplate here, you'll see the screw, and you'll just unscrew this screw. And inside, make sure that that's in the utmost position. It makes it a lot easier for pulling this off. Inside here is where you're going to do your oiling points. So what's nice about the oil that comes from the Singer Featherweight shop is it's got this brass tip that does fit inside of the bottle, and then you can pull it back up. But this brass tip allows you to get into those tight spaces. So there is an oiling point up here on top of this lever. There's an oiling point right here, another oiling point here, on this screw here, here, and here, back here, and on top of this screw right here. Plus you have this oiling point here, another oiling point right here, and the oiling point in which you put your thread stand. There is an oiling point back here and back here, and there's one in the bobbin winder, which some people oil that, some people don't. I oil it here. You'll be able to tell when it needs oiling because it'll make a little bit of rattling noises, and you just kind of have to kind of tune into those different noises and oil it accordingly. In terms of the oiling points in the front faceplate, I believe all of this is with 8 consecutive hours of sewing. Or let's say you sew for a little bit and then you let your machine sit. If it was me, I would go ahead and re-oil those points again, especially if it's, if you let it sit for like a month or two. Just so that way it's lubricated and you know that it's lubricated. Then you can just screw this faceplate back on. The bobbin assembly, which is what holds the bobbin case here. Oops, why is that? Oh, presser foot's down. The bobbin assembly here, I put a drop of oil right here behind this hole and right here along the side. And this is every time you sew. Every time you sew, you want to oil this. Trust me when I say this, you will know if it hasn't been oiled. The other part of the game is under here, and I actually lay my Singer Featherweight on its side like this, and I unscrew here, and this is where our gears are at, the lower gears, that is. With this, I put a drop of oil here, one back here, one over here, the hole here, one here. Here, there's another one that's up here where the feed dog area is. Right in here. Here, there's another oiling point here, one right here, and one right here. This right here, you're not going to use oil. But the motor grease that you get from the Singer Featherweight shop, it comes in this little tube, and it is under pressure, so when you are squirting it, pay attention. But what I always do is I wear a latex glove. I put a pea-size amount on my finger, and then I just put a quarter of it on the gear. I come over here, I turn a little bit more, turn, more, turn, and so on and so forth. I will have to double check on how often you're supposed to lubricate the gears. Again, it really just kind of depends on how much sewing you use, but the pictures that I send you of the oiling points will have a legend of what the Featherweight shop and what David McCullen actually suggests in terms of oiling. So then you can place your little oil pan back on. And the only other spot that would require oil and lubricant is going to be when you unscrew the spool pin. And it doesn't take much. You don't have to really tighten down on this. You actually can just loosen it and then just move this to the side. You'll put a drop of oil in this point right here and one right here. And then again, with your grease, put a pea-sized amount on your finger, put a little dab on, spin, little dab on, spin, and so on and so forth. Then just take your spool pin, scoot it back, and tighten. The other place where you will need to add this lubricant is going to be in this oiling point here and this oiling point here. And depending on how much you sew, you'll want to do this every 6 months. There is a little straw inside of each and every single tube of the lubricant, and mine of course is stuck at the bottom. And it fits right into this slot, and you push it in, kind of twist it, don't push hard, pull it out, and it will take all of the old grease and clear up that oil point. I generally take an old needle and push the old grease out of my straw to keep it clean. That's what helps me. And then you'll just stick this tube literally straight into the oiling point, and then you'll just kind of put a little bit of pressure on here and push it forward. And then cap it, and you can put it away. I do have a video on how to use the bobbin meter, which is this mechanism, oh boy, right here. This is the bobbin meter, and it's actually, it looks really complicated, but it's not that complicated. My line has kind of worn off, but yours is a brand new one. This line is where you're going to want this dial when you're pulling up on the bobbin. You want it to be pretty fairly close to that line. So all you end up doing is inside the bobbin case, you'll make a little knot at the end of the bobbin that you just wound, and once again you want to put the bobbin in through the bobbin case so that it's through those mechanisms. And then you're going to clip it to the alligator clip that's provided on the bobbin meter. And then you want to hold the bobbin meter, not on the actual bobbin meter itself, but on this little metal flap here and with that little tab. And then what you do is you just slowly pull this, and you're going to look at that meter as it's pulling to see if it is right on that line. This one is on that line, so it's actually really good. You'll want to test this, your bobbin, depending on the type of thread that you use, because all the threads are different weights, different kinds. And then this keeps your bottom tension set, and then what you'll do is you'll just set the top tension based off of how it's sewing through your fabric. So that is pretty much everything that I can think of that you had asked. If there are additional questions that you have for me, don't hesitate to ask. The other thing is, if you need to do FaceTime once you get your machine, let me know and we can set up a time and do that as well. So I hope that you find this video helpful. If there's anything that's confusing in the video, again, let me know. We can clarify it. If I need to remake the video, let me know that too. So I hope that you will enjoy your machine. I really felt very honored and privileged to be able to work on this machine for you and your family. And just know that we're here to help and support you in any way that we can. Have a wonderful and blessed evening.